One day, we all woke up. We had forgotten our history, and nobody could remember when. But we knew where we came from, deep in the unknown. And then it started to spread. In the face of an unknowable threat, we ran, never stopping for too long. Humanity lives its life on the run. Welcome to Pace. Previously on Pace.
Jackson Daniels. He looks like a guy who's cosplaying as, like, Doctor Who.
Lily Valdo, who is a priestess of Athena.
Roman Mars, who is a newly awoken reckless knowledge seeker.
The Outreach Net is responsible for taking a look at and investigating things that are about to fall into the unknown, this period of space where things start getting forgotten. And so you realize that as you're approaching this planet, there'll be trees, there'll be almost a dense forest that you can land in. Distress signal located. There are one or two bodies here that you can't discern almost anything about who this person might have been.
So you'd say a good descriptor of the second person is like chunky salsa.
It seems like some form of animal or animals have done this. There are a number of other dots that start appearing and moving towards the ship fairly rapidly.
Oh fuck. Jackson just starts screaming. I'm just screaming. It
Starts screaming, yep.
Ah!
Good scream, yeah.
Nice.
I don't want to blow out my microphone.
Wait, just to clarify, Jackson, these aren't us. Again, this isn't like last Tuesday.
Jackson screams and Roman says, "Is it just us?"
Jackson he's turning around, he's showing everyone the thing. I don't know how many extra life signs have shown up, but I'm assuming it's a fuckload.
At this point, it's about 6.
Oh, that's a lot of dots.
Jackson's still picturing these panda bears he saw in that documentary that were like absolutely vicious. So yeah, he's still very concerned.
So as the other two are panicking a little, Lily is going to like try and steel herself a bit and encourage them to run further into the ship, like through the, I assume there's like a main door from the bridge into the rest of the ship or something.
Yes, so the ship, you kind of glance a look at one of these maps that is around the walls of the ship, giving a brief understanding of where the emergency exits are, and you basically do the opposite. You try and find your way into the densest, tightest corner of the ship that you can, that is the most defensible, which is the hold at the very back of the ship.
Cool.
Okay, these dots are rapidly approaching. Are you guys going to do anything before they arrive? You have maybe 2 minutes.
Fucking flee into the hold, like through the ship.
I mean, yeah, shoot. What's in there? Is there anything we could like start to barricade the door with?
Good question. Why don't we make a knowledge check for me? Let's call it wits, actually.
4.
Oh, perfect. So you find a number of crates around, and looking in the crates, you see a lot of high-end wooden boards and things like that, like wooden. It looks like this was delivering almost parts to be used in the construction of very fine wooden furniture. Obviously, wooden furniture isn't seen much anymore, but this is what you find.
So we're on an IKEA ship. That's what I'm getting.
See, my first instinct was to just push the crates in front of the door. But now you're saying there's wooden planks, and I assume even though we've moved into space and the world is ending, there's still another Call of Duty Zombies every year.
God.
And they're still using wooden planks to bar off the doors in that. So I'm tempted to try and do that instead, but I don't think that makes sense.
Lily is going to check the connections between her and these things.
Okay. You turn your sight on Lily, and you start seeing the world in its connected form. You see strong connections, of course, between yourself, Roman, and Jackson, and you see these sinewy, meaty connections dragging out of the hold, out towards the emergency exit, and outside, away from your line of sight. These sinewy connections kind of tensing and pulsating with excitement as these things, whatever they are, get closer and closer.
Okay, so she's going to go over to the chunky salsa on the ground, feel a little bit queasy while she does it, and put her spacesuit covered hand into the chunky salsa. Apologies, friend, but I need assistance in this moment. May your spirit live on. And she dips her hand into the chunky salsa, and I should probably stop referring to it as that.
I mean, just making me hungry.
That's why I had lunch just before. And she's going to drag her hand with like the salsa horizontally across like the floor in front of her and say like, by the power of this person's lifeblood, I bid you to leave us.
Interesting.
Try and break the
let's make a
connections.
practice roll, shall we?
Okay.
Our very first practice roll.
Ooh, yay. All right. 3.
Okay. So here's what happens. You've noticed these connections have kind of meaty, sinewy tinges to them. And so you reach for this chunky salsa in front of you and use it to kind of construct a similarly meaty barrier on the floor between you and where these connections are coming from. And it definitely weakens them. You get the sense that your attempts are not repelling these beasts so much as distracting them. You know what I mean? Like, they aren't put off by this meat barrier that you've created any more than any barrier you would put up. It's definitely turning their wanton aggression into something else, something more inquisitive, I guess I would say.
Okay.
Interesting.
Anything else that we want to do before these beasts, which have slowed down a bit after Lily has disrupted the connections between you and them, but they are still approaching the ship.
Has that given us enough time to adequately, like, put up crates against the door to kind of?
Yeah, let's make a roll for it, and I'll make it easier since you have a bit more time. Let's call it brawn, shall we, for moving these crates quickly by the door.
Hey, Roman, are you involved in this at all?
Help move these crates, Roman.
Yeah, I think I could be.
Thank you.
Right.
It will probably be necessary.
Okay, let's both make brawn checks, shall we? Looking at both of your character sheets, neither of you is especially brawny, but you do your best.
I got a 1.
Yeah, I got a 1 too.
I'll add them together and say it's good enough to construct a temporary barrier, let's say. So here's what happens. You start to hear shuddering and feel shuddering from this ship as a number of impacts rocket. Things hit it, and it starts to shudder a bit before it seems like these creatures are mindlessly attacking this ship. These shuddering of the attacks quietens, or not quietens, but becomes slightly less frequent, and you hear one or two of these creatures seem to have made their way inside the ship while the others are attacking it outside. One of them comes up against the barrier, hits it a few times, and leaves to try and find another way to reach you, while the other one kind of stays hitting the barrier. It's not going to hold up to a sustained attack for very long, though. So if you have any other tricks you want to pull out before one of these creatures, the other seems to have been, through your miscellaneous trickery, you've reduced the encounter that you immediately have to deal with to just one of these creatures. But it will be upon you soon.
What's it look like?
Yeah, is there a window?
It's on the other side of the door, so you are not yet able to see.
Okay.
What, like, are they making any noises?
They are making snarling, growling noises that resonate deep within you as animalistic, brutal sounds of aggression.
Okay.
Sorry, the one. There are other noises coming from outside the ship, other noises of like sniffing and snuffling and investigation, but this one, the one that is still seems to be aggressive towards you, is making snarling, growling noises.
Surely this is the moment when we use this new magic voodoo stuff. And I look over at Lily and see that her eyes are like shaded. So I'm like, I got this. And I put on my sight, immediately see the sinewy lines of goop and start dry retching onto the ground.
Okay, meanwhile, Jackson is hearing these noises outside and begins sort of like tapping his own ear and going, "Hey, Marlon, are you awake? What the fuck are these things saying?"
You've called me for this. After last time with the snake, I thought we discussed no more animal translations.
Just, Marlon, can you just, like, fuck, I let you live in my ear, alright? Like, it's fucking weird. I can feel you all the time. Please just, these animals are fucking terrifying. What are they saying?
And you feel Marlin slimily worm its way slightly deeper into your ear.
God damn it.
Trying to get every dreg of this beast growling. We're going to quickly remember a scene in the past when you did Elliot, not Elliot, Jackson. You went to one of these very small kind of exotic animal collections on Canos, and they had a snake there. And this was fairly recently after you had found Marlin, and you were kind of pushing the bounds a bit, and you asked him to translate what this snake was saying in its hisses. And it actually surprisingly worked better than you expected. You were expecting Marlin to give you some kind of snarky response, but every so often as this snake spoke hissed, you would translate the kind of raw vibes of food or sunlight, warmth, and you felt you actually got a bit of a connection and insight into what this snake was seeming to express. It's important that you remember that, Jackson, because as Marlin attempts to translate these bestial growls and grunts and snarls, there is just an absolute nothingness of intention. You feel any kind of connection or language that these things might have. They just don't have any kind of hierarchical structure that you might have heard about animals having, or any kind of ability to communicate with each other. These just do not have, to the extent that it seems almost impossibly incomprehensible.
Jackson starts sticking his finger in his ear, and he's like, "Marlin, are you fucking with me?"
Why don't you roll a practice roll for me, Jackson?
Oh shit! Yeah, that's a 3.
Okay. With that, Marlin does again squirm slightly deeper into your ear, and you know you're kind of imagining this probably, but you feel like you can feel him touching your brain. You hear,
there's not, even among animals, there's normally some pattern. It's as if these things are just snarling and growling for the sake of it. There's nothing being communicated here other than the fact that they are snarling and growling. I'm sorry, I cannot help you further.
So, just to clarify, there's no, aggression or anything?
I'm definitely getting the sense of aggression, but they aren't communicating any ideas through this. Normally, if a beast is snarling in this way, it might be communicating a desire to attack with its fellow compatriots or something of the sort. This feels like something learned to snarl by watching reruns of animal attacks on TV, and is just mirroring it with none of the intention or comprehension behind it.
Are they mirroring pandas? Do you know what pandas sound? Is this pandas?
I cannot say for sure, but knowing the language of pandas, I think it seems unlikely.
Okay. Jackson visibly relaxes upon hearing that it's not pandas.
Phew! Thank God for that. You have about 30 seconds before this hastily constructed barrier fails.
I mean, obviously, Jackson relays this to the others as well.
Hurriedly,
but,
yes.
Yeah.
Would we have brought any weapons with us or anything like that?
You usually don't carry weapons because it doesn't come up that often that you'll need them. Would any of you carry weapons? You're not issued with weapons, for example. Would any of you carry weapons?
I have one.
I don't think Lily would.
There is another loud bang. What I'm going to get you to do, again, is roll your brawn, Jackson and Roman, and I'm going to contest it with the brawn of this creature to see if it breaks in.
Oh boy.
I got a -2.
Does this thing have a -2 to brawn?
What did you guys get?
I got a 2.
I got a -2.
All right. So unfortunately, the two of you kind of press up against the barrier.
I'm just picturing this as Jackson standing in the spot, and then Roman's pushing on the other side of the same crate.
You guys have managed to hold it back until now, and you hear a moment of silence that stretches out almost long enough for you to start to think that it's gone before you hear it rush towards the door. Jackson, you see Roman's eyebrows start to raise as he realizes this thing is rushing the door, and it just slams through it. and you finally get a clear look at this thing. It's some form of quadrupedal monster. You see no eyes, but sharp silver teeth jutting out of its large mouth, and heavy black fur. So heavy, in fact, that any light inside this room almost seems to be lost inside it, so that you can't sense the body underneath. It just looks like a massive black fur. These two huge forelimbs at the front and two smaller but still very powerful looking back legs as it lands and I would say looks around, but you can see it doesn't have eyes, just kind of senses the space that it has broken into, continues to snarl, and starts to hunch down as if to lunge.
What does it look like through the sight?
Good question. Let's roll a practice check.
Okay.
On this. And now that we're in our first bit of combat, I'm going to explain how this is going to work. We're going to alternate. One of you three can take a turn, and then I, or any other kind of independent groups that are acting in a conflict, will take a turn. So I think this is a great idea, Lily, for you to use your sight to try and sense more about this thing, but it's going to mean that it's going to take its next action. But let's do it. Let's roll a practice check to discern what's going on.
Sorry, it's only Roman in front of it, so it's probably fine.
It'll probably be, yeah, it's just Roman.
It's a +2 for me.
Okay, so you actually still had your sight up from trying to manipulate these kind of sinewy connections. Mm-hmm. And now that it's busted in, you can see this kind of meat and flesh connections that are extending to you, the strongest one to Roman, but kind of lead back to it. And in the sight, you can see it looks almost bigger through the sight, bigger and more brutal, I would say. Its fur seems more heavily matted, its teeth seem sharper, its breath kind of fogs up, and as it grunts and snarls, breath is coming out of it, both its mouth and two small slits where you sense that its nostrils might be. It almost seems to be hunched over more. It's as though it has just had all of its basest features amplified, and it lunges towards you, Roman. So Roman, I'm going to let you tell me how you would try and dodge or react to this, and we'll determine what the rolls it will do as a response are.
So I'm assuming there's a bunch of crates around me, right?
There are.
I'm going to guess I'm going to try and jump up onto one of the crates and kind of like jump over it out of the way.
Okay, so you are going to attempt to jump onto a crate to get out of the way of it as it kind of lunges quickly towards you. Quickly, almost mindlessly, it's not thinking of tracking you down, stalking you, and killing you. It is brute force barreling towards you with no concern for any, after effects or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Can you roll a dexterity check for me, Roman, to get out of the way?
I've got a +3 and a +2, so 5.
Oh, pretty good. It's got a 6, which means it's going to barrel towards you. You jump up onto a crate, and it, as you do so, it kind of reaches out with its claws. You see it has these kind of sharp claws emerging from under this matted black fur. It reaches up with its claws and swipes at you and grabs your foot. You're going to take 1 stress of physical damage. For those of you playing along at home, stress represents how much physical or mental damage that people can take. You probably have about, I would say, 6 to 8, depending on your character and how brawny your character is. Linus has taken 1.
Yeah. Wait, did you say 6 to 8?
Probably about 6 to 8 boxes of total value of stress before things start going really bad. Is that right?
No, I've got 3.
Okay, that's you. That's right. None of your characters are especially brawny, are they? So you have, a 1, a 2, and a 3 box. Is that right?
Yeah, I've just got a 1 and a 2 box because I don't even have...
Oh, wow. You're really not brawny. Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, you take a 1, which means you're already in a little bit of dire straits.
But it's okay because I assume that I did driving lessons with Lily last week. So in worst case, they can fly off by themselves.
Yeah.
Just badly.
Yeah.
What I'll do then is I'm going to, if you would like to make that into reality, you can use your... We're calling it karma to enforce changes like that into the universe. So if you want to say, a week ago I gave driving lessons to Lily, so if I get injured, it'll be all right. That's it, fine. It'll cost you a karma to do that.
Oh, yeah. I will. So is that my refresh? Same thing?
Yes.
Okay. I'll use one of my refresh to say that. Are you okay with that, Lily?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. So it has just lunged for Roman. it kind of goes sliding along this, metal polished floor and slides into a wall, giving one of you the time to act. What are we going to do?
So, I'm struggling to picture the room layout. Like, where am I relative to Roman and the Beast?
It's a fairly small hold. You and Roman were over by the door when it burst through, kind of pushing you a bit back. You're still quite near the door. It charged for Roman. So if the door is in the north wall of this room, you're over in kind of northwest. Roman and the Beast are over on the east side of the room. There's about 4 or 5 semi-large crates around that you could potentially use to maneuver your way around. A number of them were stacked over by the door. 1 or 2 of them broke with the impact of it, slamming through the door. The door is not broken; it is opened. But inspecting, you might see that a lock is broken or something like that.
Yeah, okay. God, I have no idea what Jackson can do that's helpful in this situation.
You have a weapon, right? You did mention that.
Sorry?
You have a weapon, right?
Yeah.
Is this in character as Lily?
I suppose, yeah. Like, if Jackson's just like kind of standing there, like looking at his hands and just like looking around bewildered, she's like, "You've got a weapon, right?"
Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'm going to charge at the thing from behind, hopefully.
Yep.
And whip out the centerpiece of Jackson's collection, his Lumen Saber.
Oh, yeah, I forgot what it was.
Do you want to give us a brief description of the Lumen Saber for everyone playing along at home?
Yeah, sure. So it's a small metallic hilt, and then out of it, this sort of lasery sword comes. I've sort of made up this concept, so it's going to be hard to explain.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like you could almost call it a lightsaber if that name wasn't taken. It's a lightsaber.
Okay, perfect.
But also an original concept. Do not steal.
Yeah.
And I just want to... Yeah, do we know how good Jackson is at using the lightsaber?
I think the answer was bad.
I think he's sort of okay in that because it's a part of his collection and he's like made it as such through a collector's ritual. He's actually sort of okay with it. It's just really out of character for him to use it, so he kind of forgets to. But I think hopefully once he pulls it out, I mean, we'll see how the rolls go, but in theory, he's actually decent.
You pull out your Lumino Saber and I guess the word is ignite it, extend its beam, and this kind of bright, what color? Blue? Green?
Oh, geez, that's a good question. Orange.
Orange. This orange hue tints the room around you. And as this orange light falls across this beast, you see it react. It kind of scrabbles a bit to its feet, suddenly looking and noticing what the light is coming from, this Lumino Saber, and then seeming to steel itself a bit as you charge towards it with the Lumino Saber.
Yeah. So I will say as well, like I feel like there's a bit of an effect based on what the Lumino Saber represents in world. There's maybe a bit of a calming effect that takes over Jackson as he ignites it, and he looks at the beastie and he says, "Hello there."
Okay, let's do it. Why don't you roll a brawl check for me? And it's curiously, you expect that this thing would normally just try and charge you, despite the fact that you've got this Lumino Saber out, but it almost seems like it's kind of scrabbling to get away from it.
Okay, Jackson doesn't stop to appreciate that. He's just charging. He's in the zone. Oh boy. You said brawl?
Mm-hmm.
That's a 1.
Okay, so your Lumino Saber almost connects with it. It scrabbles slightly out of the way, but you do seem to singe parts of its fur, and you hear a howling noise come from its mouth, almost as if you've heard it, even though you didn't actually connect with anything beyond singeing the slightest hairs of its forearm. It scrabbles back, looks behind it, and notices Lily, who is not too close to the action at this point.
Fuck.
And rather than charge at you, Jackson, it turns around and rushes towards Lily again, preparing its claws to dive at Lily.
Shit.
Lily, what are you going to do?
Shit.
So your options here are basically try to avoid it, try to kind of brute force your way past its attack. You're not going to have too much time to react. So it's basically, I'm asking you, fight or flight here, Lily.
Ooh, can she say a sentence?
Sure.
Okay, if she can say a sentence, she's going to say, by the power of Grayskull. No. By the power of the outreach net, I compel you, beast. Cease and identify yourself. And she's going to stand straight, back straight, and very imperiously looking down at it. And she's going to get fucking crunched in about half a second, of course, but worth it.
I'm going to make you roll guts, Lily.
Oh, no. That's a 0.
Oof, that's rough. So this beast looks to you, sees you, measuring yourself up and prompting yourself up like this, puffing your proverbial feathers, I guess.
Yeah.
And almost hesitates for a moment before it decides to just continue to barrel straight into you. And it's going to do 4 shifts of physical damage to you, Lily.
Oh.
So you're going to need to mark 4 stress boxes there.
Okay, so that's 3, which fills me up, and then plus 1 more.
Sorry. So the number above the box represents how many points it's worth, right? So you'd need to mark a 3 and a 1. So you still have your 2 physical stress boxes. So you have 6 points in total.
I misunderstood then.
Oh, so did I. Okay.
I think we all misunderstood.
Right.
Okay.
Lily
cool.
gets barreled into and becomes pinned under this beast as it dives atop her and starts scratching at her.
Probably softly from underneath the beast, you guys can hear ah.
The kind of is muted by the thick matted fur of this thing. You guys smell. So you're wearing your spacesuit still, and so the smell of, for example, the dead bodies didn't permeate the spacesuits. They filtered that out enough. And so the fact that you start to smell something here indicates that it's a very powerful smell. This singed fur smell is so much stronger and more pungent than it should be.
Okay.
Who wants to take an action?
Yeah, I mean...
Well, for Jackson, you have the only weapon. Unless we basically just try to pull Lily out from underneath and just leg it.
I mean,
How, twisty windy is the ship? Could we find another bit to hide in?
Possibly, although you sense that there's some... I mean, you guys already were kind of hiding in the hold, right? The fact that Lily wasn't able to break the connections between this thing and you, and these things and you, indicates that it used some kind of animal sense to find you.
And there were other ones, weren't there?
Outside the ship, yes.
Yeah. I reckon this is your time, Jackson. And that's what I say in person.
yeah, I mean, well, Jackson sort of, skids around, does a 180, and starts swinging his Lumen Saber back in the direction he came from to rescue Lily.
Okay. You charge back towards the beast, swinging your Lumen Saber. It's a bit distracted with trying to break through Lily's suit to get at the meat inside. And so I'll give you a +2 to your next brawl check attacking it.
Thank goodness. So that's a 2 then.
Jesus Christ. It's distracted. So you actually do manage to land a hit on it this time, dealing... your Lumen Saber kind of sears into it, which normally deals more damage than a blunt object would, of course. But even with this, your Lumen Saber seems to deal an ungodly amount of damage to this thing, and it howls and screeches as it is seared into by your Lumino Saber, and immediately forgets what it was doing with Lily and just starts rushing to the far corner of this room.
Hell yeah.
Lily, you can kind of pull yourself to your feet at this point, and you see the beast attempting to kind of, I guess, compose itself. It almost cowers for a moment before breathing louder and louder and pumping itself up and resolving itself. And now, not as aggressively, slightly prowling towards you, preparing to pounce. And I'll let you. It's not going to do anything further at the moment, so I'll let one of you take another action.
It's pouncing on all three of us because we're all together.
It's just going to pounce towards you. You're not really able to tell exactly who it's going to hit, and honestly, it's big enough that it might hit all three of you.
If I could take a step back from it, just to do a bit of table talk quickly. Well, can we just quickly recap what we know about this thing?
Okay, I have been writing things up.
You guys quickly pause and have a quick huddle as it stalks towards you to determine what to do.
Yeah. So it's the connection between us and it seems stronger than it should necessarily. The fact that it was able to find us, even though we're in spacesuits again, like it feels like magic. Basically, it feels pretty obviously magic. Also, through the sight, all of its like baser attributes are amplified, which feels again weird.
That stronger connection. Do you think that's because, do you think it was supposed to be us that found the distress signal, like us specifically?
I don't know, but it feels like a trap, especially because that only happened when we found the other two in the ship. So I don't know if it was supposed to be us specifically, but I feel like it is probably for outreach people.
Okay. Well, I suppose to jump back in, as this thing's getting ready to pounce.
How far away are the dead bodies?
They're not in this
us?
room. So you saw two bodies. They were out in one right near the emergency exit, and one kind of a bit further in. Not in the hold.
How fucked up is my spacesuit?
Honestly, it's taken more of a beating than you thought it would. It looks like one more solid hit and it might get broken.
Okay, has it got like any tears in it or anything?
No, it's still intact.
Damn.
Oh. Do you want it to have... I mean, if you want, you can spend a karma to say that it was torn in some way.
Because honestly, like, using the bloody salsa felt like it worked a bit. And so Lily kind of feels like she would like to get at some of her blood to use.
I'm going to ask you to do a wits check for me, Lily.
Okay. That's
no shade.
That's very classic DM talk. That's are you sure you want to do that?
No, that's not what this is about. It's for something slightly different.
Okay, that was a 6.
Very good. Okay.
Somehow
you as you kind of pick yourself up after this thing has been scared off, you put together a few little pieces. One piece is it actually, your attempt to peacock yourself up a bit when it was charging you almost seemed to work, almost to the extent that you almost like scared it off of attacking you, but it seemed to just not quite be enough of a show. The other piece that's worth that you take note of is the fact that this thing is, through the sight, seemed to be like all its animalistic tendencies were amplified. So you kind of hold these pieces in your mind and you start getting the sense that whatever this thing is, you definitely sense that it is some kind of like other type of animal thing. It is the core of its identity is its animalness.
So no, never mind.
All right. I think, well, yeah, from that, like, Lily might, like, really puff herself up then. Like, as much as she can, you know, feeling bruised and battered as she is right now. Look over to Jackson and, like, kind of gesture for him to like, kind of hand over the lumen saber.
Let me ask a question of you three at this point. Do you have a leader? We saw Lily before give an instruction to Daniel to ignite his Lumino Saber and charge in. Has Lily kind of assumed the dynamic of being the de facto leader of your little trio?
I don't want to speak for Roman, but like, it's definitely not Jackson.
And I feel like Roman would feel like he's the leader when he's driving the ship. Because
the captain is the leader,
in his mind, he's like the captain. But I feel like it has no interest in extending beyond that.
Okay. So just to quickly jump back in, Lily has motioned to hand over the Lumino Saber.
Yeah. So I I guess Jackson de-ignites it and then hands it over.
Safety first.
The thing is, though, I'm fairly certain, as it's part of his collection, he's the only one who can ignite it. So I imagine there's like an extra second where like he sort of has to put it in Lily's hand and then ignite it for her and then like back off carefully.
Okay.
So it's a bit of an awkward transition, but we get there.
Okay. You get there in the end, which is good. Lily, this thing has kind of stalked around you a bit. You two have almost circled each other before it shakes itself a bit and starts to charge you again. You're going to puff yourself up and do what?
Yeah, so like, well, first of all, as Jackson handed over the Lumen Saber, she would have like whispered like, "Thank you," and then yeah, like with it like starting to charge her, she's just gonna like, hold the Lumen Saber in front of her a bit and like puff herself up and like yell at it. "Beast, by the power of the light that I hold in my hands, and with the might of my god at my back, I compel you. Cease."
All right. Why don't you make a practice roll for me, Lily?
Okay. Oh, for fuck's sake. That's a 0.
It has also not rolled very well, so you're lucky on
Okay.
the sense. You puff
I got
yourself...
3 minuses in that one.
That's rough.
Oh,
You puff yourself up and hold out the Lumen Saber and yell at it. It is charging towards you as you start to yell at it, and it starts growling and you know, snarling at you as it rushes towards you. And as you finish your brief brief exclamation, the pitch of its growl starts to get higher and higher, and it starts to try and slow itself down and not run towards you. But it's kind of already put all of its weight into this charge. So it starts scrabbling to stop its charge towards you, a little too late, and it slides itself directly into the Lumino Saber, kind of impaling itself and spraying this thick black blood all over your hands and the front of your outfit. Your spacesuit, I should say. And then just kind of collapses.
Lily's just going to like stand there for a moment, just be like, "Yay? Can you turn this thing off?"
As you say that, Lily, you hear one or two more shakes to the ship outside. It seems the other creatures have not come inside yet, but are still out there attacking the ship, kind of pounding against it.
Does the ship have lights on?
No.
So no functioning electricity?
No. I'll say there's like... It's daytime outside, and the ship does have like damage that it sustained from the crash. That means that light is coming in, but it's natural light from outside, not
Okay.
The only unnatural light is the orange hue being cast by the Lumino Saber.
And our flashlights on our grey...
The grey link.
Shit.
The grey links.
Grey link.
Flashlights. Yours, Lily, is not conveying much light under the thick black blood that has become drenched in.
She's very awkwardly holding the Lumen Saber because she's kind of terrified of it, to be honest.
yeah.
She's not a weapons person, so she's just kind of like holding it at arm's length now and being like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson will come over and take it back and sort of put it back in his belt, and, you know, it's sort of complaining because, like, it's going to cost a fortune to get this dry cleaned out of my suit. That's his attempt at humor, and he's sort of like, he looks expectantly at the other two after making that joke.
For me, Jackson? Oh, God. Let's see how well this joke lands. With your 0 rapport, I think you have.
That's a -2 for rapport, which is honestly, I could have told you that without rolling based on that joke.
Yeah, it doesn't land very well.
Yeah, like Lily like looks over at like the slight bit of like crap on his like suit, and then like looks up and down hers, and he's like, "Yeah, sure."
So you guys, after the adrenaline of this fight has slightly worn off, you realize that there are still, consulting Jackson's life form detector, there are still 5 of these things outside that haven't come inside yet. It seems that Lily's shenanigans with the connections earlier have at least kind of distracted them from directly pursuing you inside like the other one did. But almost certainly you don't have a quick way out of this position.
So on the ship map, there's a ship map on the wall, I guess?
Yep.
you're here kind of thing.
Yep.
What else is there in terms of like the storage? Is there like any kind of infirmary, medical,
There's
military?
about a third of the ship is dedicated to like the dorms, the bunks, because this is a ship that's designed to like carry cargo with a small crew. So there's a big hold, a big set of bunks to carry the crew for the ship, and then just barely anything else. Everything else seems like very cheap things. Like the captain's area is cheap as hell, and that's why the front observation window like broke on impact. There's honestly not much else that you can use. Probably you find a small first aid kit, but that's it.
Well, I grabbed the first aid kit.
All right, add that to your inventory. A small bad first aid kit. It's got maybe like a bandage and like half a thing of Panadol or paracetamol for our non-Australian potential listeners.
Okay, what the fuck are we gonna do now? There's 5 of those things out there.
Well, the most important thing to do is that we don't panic, we plan, and we do this in the right way.
Okay, well, what's step 1 of the plan?
Yep, I want to. Yeah, more specifics on the right way would be great now, Lily.
Yep. She like kind of like quietens down for a few moments as she's like trying to think about it.
Are you obviously Athena? Your connection to Athena often is based around knowledge and wisdom. Are you trying to do anything to gain additional knowledge from Athena?
I don't think right at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think survival first and then knowledge.
Okay.
So she's gonna like look around for a little bit and then like be like, we should use pieces of the beast to block the connections. Yep, that's the step 1 in the right way.
Okay. I'm assuming you then do that. You use the Luminosaber to maybe cut parts of this beast. Interestingly, you first try and just kind of rip small pieces of it off. It's not in great shape after it rammed itself up the Luminosaber. So you kind of get the sense that you might have been able to rip some pieces off of it. But it's just too tough. Like the sinewy flesh underneath this fur is too tough to rip. But it comes away so easily when you cut it with the Luminosaber, more easily than you would expect. So you cut some pieces out of it. Again, the hands of your spacesuit getting drenched in this thick, viscous black blood. But you come away with these pieces. Do you want to make a practice check for me to attempt to kind of ward off these connections?
All right, let's go for that +4 again. Come on, let's do it. Well, it wasn't that. +2.
Okay, but your previous attempts reinforced by this, even more so, it seems. You get the sense, I won't give you too much information because you only got a +2, but you get the sense that the fact that this is a beast that you yourself slayed has helped with the blocking of these connections.
And so, do Jackson and I, are we helping with this? Are we also trying to block using pieces of the body, or is it just Lily?
I assume so.
Yeah, you try. It doesn't seem to, like, you guys try first, actually. Jackson, you take a stab at it using blood and gore from this thing to block some connections. And the beasts outside are still attacking. Roman, you try, same story. Lily, when you try with the blood of this beast that you have slain, actually you notice 1 or 2 of the beasts outside like just kind of start to wander off and stop attacking. The other attacks outside become less frequent.
Okay, so we need to try and get back to our ship, right?
Before we do that, we really do need to find out where this ship came from, what this ship is. This could be an important vessel carrying great knowledge, and we cannot let these things fall into the unknown.
I mean, we can come back, but like, I don't think we want to be here right now.
How long could I estimate in my mind how long it would take me to get like a download of the ship captain's log or something? Could I do that off a panel in here, or would we have to go to the...
You would probably need to sneak your way to the captain's area, I would say, where all the actual like captain's logs and etc. is stored.
I mean, we could try to go download some stuff and then make a Lego for it.
Yeah, can we check out like the like the crew quarters, like, and go through there and, like, yeah, try and see if we can find any logs like that we could download, because if we can get a few of them rather than just the captain's one, might be helpful.
Yep. You find your way into the crew quarters. You can see up ahead the broken window of the captain's area, where you can see like computers and stuff that seem to be off, and you actually have some access terminals like in the crew quarters, and there was one in the hold, but there was no real way to access anything. I think Roman, with your knowledge of technology, you know that you probably would be able to actually, like, old school, get in there and just rip the hard drive out and figure it out later once you get to a ship with power and stuff. You'd need to decrypt it and stuff, but you'd be able to do that. You just would need to get into the captain's area where all that stuff is stored, which you can, although the window is broken, and so theoretically some of these things could see you and get in through the window.
Okay. I mean, theoretically, we could jump out too. Or is it very high up?
Yes. It's not that high up. There's also kind of a tree growing through it that you could use to help yourselves kind of leverage your way out. It is broken glass, so if something goes wrong, you're in a potential bad situation, but, you know.
So aren't we glad I said we had to wear the spacesuits? Actually, I'm double glad. I would have been freaking dead from that thing otherwise.
Yes, the spacesuit did take some of the blow of this thing full force barreling into you.
Just first session, first encounter, like, Lily's arm gets ripped off by a monster because nobody thought to take the spacesuits.
Okay, does anyone here think they could do some sort of, like, illusion magic? Like, if we make a big noise over in the front and they all run in the window and then we run out the side, like, is that gonna work?
I'm not an expert in illusions. I just start, like, searching through the pieces of wood to try and find, like, something I can use as a club.
Illusions aren't particularly my strong point. I can ensure, or almost ensure, that we can gain the knowledge we need from this ship. But that might come...
I mean, we need more than knowledge. There's monsters trying to kill us.
Well, yes. The monsters are a problem. Okay, Jackson, I'm well aware of the monsters being a problem.
Oh, good.
I am bruised all over, and it hurts a lot. But the knowledge is very important too.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Athena herself has sent me to this task such that we can unravel a mystery and gain knowledge that humankind would never have otherwise.
Fan-fucking-tastic. Okay. Okay, so if we get the hard drive, we can fucking leave? That's the deal?
Technically, they're called data disks, but yeah.
Space data disks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So how are we going to do that?
Well,
we can't go into the cockpit without, like, presumably getting caught.
I've had one thought. You might not love it, Jackson. It might not be... It's maybe not the best thought I've ever had, but it's an initial jumping off point. If you distract them, Roman and I would almost certainly be able to
survive.
Get the information we need.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, get the information, that's right.
We're all going to survive, Roman.
What does distract mean to you?
So I look at the body. So I'm like, Jackson, didn't you say the body of the beast looked like a bodysuit?
That was Lily, but... fuck, I see. Do
you see what I'm thinking?
This is even worse than what I was thinking.
I mean, Jackson's gonna go up. Like, how? What is the feasibility of me wearing this suit?
It's big enough that you could fit inside it and wear it as a kind as a kind of, like, fur, you know, like, with its arms wrapped around your arms. I mean, you're not going to be able to, like, turn it into a full-on fursuit with your Luminosaber or anything. That's probably a bit too far. But you could fashion it into, like, a pelt that would, you know, have it as maybe like a hood, its head going over your head, that kind of stuff that would, you know, maybe pass. They don't have eyes, so you never know. Could work.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the main vibe we're going for is confusion. You don't have to completely, like, convince them. And obviously, it only fits you.
Well, I'm not going to call for Swan on that one, I suppose. But Okay. Yeah. Well, so I suppose, yeah, lacking any better ideas of his own, Jackson kneels down and starts scooping out innards
Yep.
that still remain inside this thing.
All right. Here's what we can do. Jackson, can you roll an artistry check for me, please, to fashion this into some form of pelt that you can use to disguise yourself? I'm going to get Lily and Roman to roll a stealth check for me, corresponding to the distraction that will come up very shortly.
That's a 5 for my artistry.
Very artistic.
Oh my god. That's a -1 for my stealth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. I got a -3 for my stealth.
Wowza.
I mean, I'm so glad I put myself on the line for you two.
Well, lucky Jackson rolled fairly well in his artistry. So Jackson, you fashion this into a little hood pelt thing for yourself and very tentatively start working your way towards the emergency exit to poke your way outside.
Can I whisper to Jackson? I'm like, Jackson, they made noises. You gotta make the noises. And I give him like a thumbs up.
By this point, a lot of the banging and cacophony from outside has started to die down, and you've been in here for probably about, I would say, 5 to 10 minutes, and no other beasts have made an attempt to come in, seemingly based on the connection stuff manipulation that you did before. Jackson, you kind of tentatively start to work your way outside, and you see there are still 3 or 4 of these beasts around. There are 4 of them. Oh, sorry, 5 of them. 3 of the beasts seem to be fighting amongst themselves. Lunging at each other, clawing at each other, tussling, howling, growling, etc. The other 2 are engaged in behavior that is, while superficially similar, clearly of a different intention, let's say. Definitely not fighting.
Jackson really fucking hates this suit right now.
Jackson, the beasts, the 5 beasts look to you, and initially, well, let's double check that. Yeah, initially don't seem to have any notice that you are not one of them, but it becomes quickly clear to you that you're going to have to pick a group to join.
Oh, I mean,
Fucking Christ.
he doesn't want to get attacked. So there's only one choice.
Okay.
Really. And he's going to go, I guess, sit down sort of right next to this couple.
You kind of pace your way gingerly over to this couple. Let's cut back to the other 2 for a moment. Roman and Lily, you find your way into the front, the captain's area. Looking out, you can see this group of now 6 beasts, 5 of them and 1 that is clearly Jackson. But they don't seem to notice you. Jackson's artistry has successfully made up for your poor stealth. As Roman, trips over a tree branch or something and kind of looks up to see if anyone noticed, but they didn't.
I get like a notification on my Grey Link.
All clear. So yeah, you work your way over to where this to the machinery, this kind of central control panel, and quite quickly, Roman are able to get inside and take out the hard drive, which you put in a pocket of your spacesuit for later. And you see that Jackson has seemingly distracted them for enough time that you guys have successfully pulled this off. You potentially could slip away while Jackson has them distracted, although obviously the problem then is Jackson's left by himself. So the problem with your plan becomes clear when you realize you've rescued the technology, but now kind of have to rescue Jackson from this group of 5 of these beasts.
Before we get into that, I think that Lily is going to try and ensure that everything has been gained here.
In terms of like collecting whatever you can from the ship?
Yeah, so she's going to like place her hand like on like a control panel or something, and like a bit whispering, because there's a bunch of creepy monsters outside. In the name of Athena, I call upon you, ship, to pass on all of your secrets to us, and I'm going to use my 1 stunt.
Okay, perfect.
Which is invoking Athena in the pursuit of knowledge.
Okay, why don't you roll a practice check for me, and you can add 3 to that for your invocation here.
So that's an 8.
Very good. Okay, so here's what happens. Similar to when you were cleaning your apartment, you are looking for this sense of contentedness, almost divine contentedness, that you have found all the knowledge in the same way you were cleaning your apartment and making sure everything was in its rightful place, you now have this sense to ensure that any scrap of information that could possibly be found by you is. And so searching through the ship, you not only ensure that Roman is successful in copying or kind of ripping out any of the data from the ship, and you make sure you kind of get the sense that potentially could have caused like data corruption or anything like that, but with your desire to preserve this knowledge, it doesn't. But you also take down other less technological, more mundane pieces of knowledge that you kind of had noticed but hadn't really filed away as this is potentially a clue or potentially a scrap of information. Things like where these bodies were, how injured were they, all of the information that you might need to feed later to like a police report or something, you know that you have taken inside your head, written down on a piece of paper, or just kind of observed. And so you get a very solid picture of the ship to the extent that you know you'll be able to recall any pertinent details that you need to about it later on.
Okay, that sounds good.
And with that, you feel this almost divine contentedness that you felt last Sunday afternoon when you had finished putting everything away, that lets you know, yes, Athena is pleased with you. You've captured all the information from this situation.
Awesome.
Now that we're done with the important things, let's get back to the guy in the suit.
Okay, what did you get for artistry? You got 5. This is ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this is ridiculous what's going on right here.
And Jackson's on the front of the ship now? Did you say he's gone? No, he's inside.
He's not inside the ship. The group of these beasts is now outside, kind of in the foresty area outside of the ship, but towards the front of the ship, so you can see them from the broken kind of captain's viewing window.
Okay. Yep.
You walk up to these 2 beasts, Jackson, and they take note of you, but don't seem to realize that anything is off, at least not at this point. As you kind of work your way towards them, their animalistic noises have turned from the aggressive into the intimate, let's say, and you kind of lost for what to do, just you almost willing your feet to stop, but they don't. You kind of on all fours walk over towards this group of 2 copulating beasts, and start kind of gingerly, laying a hand on one here, or using your leg to touch a leg there.
See, I was picturing like sitting like a meter to the side, pretending to touch myself.
Oh, okay.
As a way that I'm not involved.
Sure.
Like in Jackson's mind, this is better because he's not actually involved.
Okay. Doing your best imitation of animalistic grunting, you're sitting off to the side observing. I didn't expect this to be the way that this went, I'll be honest.
All right. So I just got to check. I'm going to assume that we can't see Jackson because of where we are in the ship.
You can see Jackson.
Okay. Have we got radios so that we can talk to each other?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I am going to assume that mine's turned off right now because I really don't want your voice emanating from...
Oh, because it'd ruin the mood, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my concern, absolutely.
Okay, so Jackson, at this point you are succeeding in not being kind of discovered by them as being off. What are the other... Jackson, you're pretty occupied right now. Roman and Lily, what are you 2 up to?
I have a practicey idea for it.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Well, are we able to just like sneak out of the ship and like around to like hide behind some trees or something?
Yes, you can tell that you're still in the ship right now, but you can tell that these things are pretty distracted and not seemingly as focused on you as they were before.
Okay, so I would like us to like sneak out and like hide just a little bit away from the ship.
Okay, yep. I won't make you roll for that or anything.
Thank God. So after they've done that, Lily is going to like try and like collect up a bunch of the blood that's drying onto her suit, in her hand, and like try and use it to like smear it across the ground to strengthen the connection between the beasts and the ship.
Okay.
She's trying to like encourage them to go like over to or like into the ship or something like
How
that.
far away from the ship are you guys now? You've snuck off to kind of the tree line instead. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. Like, yeah, a few meters at least.
Okay, cool. You using this meat and blood, you strengthen the connections between these beasts and the ship. You get the sense there were these very weak connections between these beasts and the whatever is remaining of the kind of viscera that was cut out of the one that Jackson is now inhabiting, as well as the two bodies that were there before. There are quite weak connections between these things that seem to have faded since they died, connecting them back into these entities. And these are the connections you strengthen, causing them to slowly stop what they're doing and start not resuming their attack, but going back in to investigate this ship again. And so, Jackson, you sit and watch as some of these beasts start to investigate the ship again. Lily, let's do a practice roll to see how well this succeeds.
Okay. That's a 0.
Okay.
Just a flat 0.
Let's contest it and see what happens. Okay, we got a 0 as well. So I'm going to say it's not a complete success. There were 5 of them now. 4 of them go in to investigate the ship. One of the ones that was fighting is still out here and kind of starts to square off with the only other thing left out here that it sees, which is Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson stops touching himself.
Good. That's first.
Yeah, I guess so. Jackson's going to use his own sight to get an idea for where Lily and Roman are, and just sort of start walking in that direction while kind of mostly facing the one that's left, but not quite facing it, so he's not challenging it.
Okay. Let's do a check. Let's call it theatrics.
That is a 4.
Okay, you quite well are able to toe this line between challenging it and running from it, I guess, so that you don't give any signal to it that you're doing either, but just kind of maneuver around it. It hasn't started attacking you yet, but it looks like it's preparing itself to. You do manage to maneuver yourself over to near where Lily and Roman are, though.
How far away is our ship?
About 5 or 10 minutes walk.
Help, please. What do we do?
Just keep on going. Hope it gets bored.
Okay, and I keep walking towards them.
No, towards the ship, not towards us.
Why don't you roll wits for me, Jackson?
Oh boy, that's a 4.
Okay, you get the sense that if you continue to back away from this thing, it's going to start to see you as prey, as weak, and probably attack.
Okay. Jackson's also assuming that going towards it would be aggression. So Jackson's just going to stand right where he is and just call for help. Just, guys, I can't. What?
Growl at it. Growl at it. Scare it off.
Yeah, okay. Jackson's going to do his best growl.
So here's what we're going to do. In a moment, I'm going to get you to make a guts check, but I'm also going to get you to, as Elliot, actually do a growl for me. And depending on how animalistic and raw and scary that growl is, I'll give you either a bonus or detract from your score.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I don't blow up my microphone here.
And roll your guts for me.
That was good. I like that. That was
I
good.
tried to do that in my Jackson voice, so it kind of sounded like my voice was breaking. That is... Sorry, what was that, guts?
Guts, indeed.
That's a 1.
Overall, a 1?
Yeah.
Okay, you growl at this thing. It growls back at you, much more fearsome.
Lily, that didn't work.
Just stab it and run.
It charges towards you, Jackson. What are you going to do?
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Underneath the suit, Jackson does have his lumen saber inside the pore of this, suit that he's wearing. So basically, he's just getting ready to, as soon as this thing comes close, we can light the lumen saber through the pore of the suit and stab with it.
Okay, almost like a big orange claw coming out of your suit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Can you roll brawn for me? Oh, sorry, brawl.
Okay, brawl is better. That is a 2.
Okay. This thing charges towards you, and you kind of start to ready yourself to tackle it with your Lumino saber. And as it lunges, you ignite the saber, which pierces out as a claw, and you strike into it. It's not a good, clean hit. It's not a good hit by any stretch. But again, your Lumino saber seems to deal... It's a powerful weapon. It's a strong kind of searing weapon. But even so, it seems to deal especially a lot of damage to this thing as it pierces through it, kind of carving it and impaling it, similar to the manner that killed the beast that you are now wearing. It howls out loudly as it dies, drawing the other few beasts out of the ship to look.
I was afraid of that.
Seeing you kill this beast, they seem to, in their behavior, seem to almost defer to you as the leader of this pack now.
Oh, that is not where I thought that was going. Okay. Well, Jackson's going to sort of rear up on his hind legs and point back at the ship and growl at them, and point at the ship.
Okay.
Just going to try and send them straight back fucking in there. 4 blanks, so that's a 3.
You roar and indicate towards the ship, and they seem cowed by your murder of this other beast and head back inside the ship, giving you all a window to escape if you choose to.
Wow, I cannot believe that worked.
Oh, fuck, let's get the hell out of here.
Good, thanks for doing that so I can edit that back in later. The three of you, are you going to discard the suit, Jackson, or keep it?
How much does it hamper my movement?
Pretty heftily, I would say.
Yeah, okay. then yeah, he's taking it off as we start to, GTFO.
Yep. So you take your fur suit off, but keep your space suit on as the three of you head back towards your ship, the NTBC, making there without any further incident. Jackson, after you're immediately away from the ship, you're kind of keeping a tight eye on your life form detector. And it seems like they stay in the ship and don't pursue. And so you manage to effectively get back to the ship. And you all collectively breathe a sigh of relief that you've escaped this situation.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so can I bring the ship up so that it's floating
Oh yes, please.
10 meters off the air or something?
Please take off as quickly as you fucking can. Absolutely.
You guys go into kind of low orbit around the planet, well out of the reach of these beasts.
Lily is going to go shower.
And there's nothing else.
Yeah, and clean up your suit, presumably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I assume there's only one shower on this piece of crap?
There is, yeah. Do you guys want to roll need to see who gets it first?
I mean, Jackson's definitely the sort who will let the others go, but he's just going to be sitting in a corner somewhere just sort of wiping his suit that he's still in.
Roman, you kind of connect all this information that you pulled from the ship and start decoding it as you all kind of head away from this place. And you also put together a report to send back to Canos on what you found. Looking through all the logs, the first thing you decode is the logs, and listening through them. Well, actually, before you listen to the first one, you notice they're all numbered. This place was last inspected about 2 months ago, so you know that the ship can't have been there for that long. You see when the crash was, and after that, there is seemingly at least there's 3 or 4 years of logs, which seems not possible. Diving through them, you start to get the picture of what happened here. This ship crashed, and the people on this ship, there were 3. The 3 people that were on this ship found themselves having to survive on this place where they had oxygen but almost no food. They had to forage fruits and nuts and stuff from the surrounding trees, and it was almost nothing. And they found themselves in a pretty desperate fight for survival. Eventually, relations between the crew started to sour a bit, and they started to, the 2 of them started to fight against one of them, argue. And as this got more and more dangerous and hunger got higher, they realized that not only were they fighting to survive, there was something on this planet that was hunting them, feeding off of them, trying to feed off of them. These beasts, you connect it together. And it seems that with your burgeoning knowledge of the practice, it seems that as they became more and more prey-like, weak and vulnerable, around them, this forest, something manifested a predator in balance with that. And that seems to be the beasts that you fought against. They led this bleak final few years of their life somehow over the course of maybe a month or a month and a half in a sped up fight for their own survival that ultimately they ended up losing. And that's the scene that you guys stumbled across.
Sorry, so you said there were 3 or 4?
There were 3 people on the crew. Yes.
And Roman presumably told the rest of us this.
Yeah. How many dead bodies were there?
Just 2 you found.
So we're missing a person.
Yeah.
Okay. I have 2 things I want to quickly do. First of all, Jackson's going to check the life form detector.
There are no other unexpected life forms on this ship.
Okay, thank Christ. So the other thing is, I feel like we probably should have asked this earlier. Like, is there anything recognizable about this ship? Is it like the sort of ship that Outreach might have, or any other group?
Yes, with the information that you guys have collected, and actually with some of the additional information that Lily scrounged up, you're able to find that this ship was from Outreach. It was delivering things from one port of Outreach to another, delivering this kind of ingredients to make high-end furniture. And somewhere along the way, like something malfunctioned on the ship. You're not able to tell exactly what, but it seems like some engine failure or something led it to crash on its journey.
Okay.
You're not connected to any of the main Outreach systems to allow you to perform any more checks right now, but you can presumably check up on the serial number of the ship when you get back and find out all the final details.
Yeah, are we able to radio back to home base at all?
Yes, you've sent back a report to home base. Communication is spotty, especially the further out you get. As a kind of, I guess, a precautionary policy, communication isn't maintained too much in case you guys fall into the unknown, and that gives it a kind of vector to jump forward even further. But you are able to kind of send packets of information back and forth fairly reliably.
Okay.
So you send back the information that you've gathered in your report, and as you're on your way to kind of, you guys take basically the rest of the day to just decompress. This kind of thing doesn't happen very often, but it does happen every once in a while, and so you guys kind of decompress, recover. You get back word from your headquarters, the Outreach Net, and it confirms a few finer details for you. So the ship went missing about 3 weeks ago. Was meant to be delivering high quality wood that was farmed off of a high quality wood farm that is used to sell basically very ornate materials to people who want kind of vintage, newly constructed but vintage style wooden furniture. Disappeared about 3 weeks ago and hadn't been heard of since.
Jackson is going to turn to Roman and so say, hey, Roman, can you compare like time stamps or computer time to like, were we in a time bubble just now? Or because that ship was there for ages.
Okay, so I do like a comparison of what like the main time synchronization clocks and our own ones, probably the ones that we have on our Grey Links.
You guys haven't sped up time or anything like that.
Okay.
However, obviously the ship had some distortion to what they're experiencing. Let's make practice rolls. Who wants to kind of figure out what they might be able to discern using their knowledge of the practice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we both?
I definitely think, Lily would be like looking through like her collected libraries of knowledge, like trying to figure this shit out.
That's a 1 for Jackson.
That's a 3 for Lily.
It's a 1 for me too.
Okay. So Lily, you are able to find something similar to this. To the beasts that you saw. We talked before about how animals have become less and less common in modern society. And so as people kind of saw them and got to know like what animals were less and less, the general populace, had less and less experiences with animals. And so these kind of heightened ideas of animalistic behavior and what animals were started to emerge. And with that, fears of these animalistic behaviors, a lack of understanding about what an animal was, and the idea of this morphing in some areas into raw fury or bestial nature, fight, flight, or fornication, to use the polite term, base desires, these kinds of ideas all got warped together in this sense. And so this category of other, which has been nicknamed space gorillas by people in the know, has started to emerge. Basically raw expressions of animalistic behavior where people manifest these kind of fears of animals. And that seems to be what you encountered here. With regards to the time dilation stuff, you're not really sure. This isn't necessarily associated with Space Gorilla, but it does seem that when these people crashed on this ship, they basically started to live out their own personal hell of being hunted by animals, and it became kind of extended and drawn out over the course of their slow demises.
Okay.
And you send all this in your report back to headquarters. As you have back and forth with your headquarters, word comes in that you still have a handful of jobs to get to this week. So you are encouraged to not spend too much time thinking about what it is that you saw here.
I mean, I'm fine with trying to fucking forget it. Honestly, okay. Let's carry on.
Can I leave a gift for Jackson? So I'm going to assume that I have hidden somewhere like a bottle of scotch, but I don't have new ones, so it's like a half-drunk bottle of scotch.
What a gift.
And it has a note on it that says, "Sorry about the suit plan. P.S. I thought Space Pandas was a way better name."
Oh, that's amazing.
But I just leave it in your room. I don't do any of the handing it to you personally or anything.
Honestly, Jackson really fucking likes this gift and shares it with dinner the next night or whatever. Like, we'll actually have it together, but the thought is genuinely appreciated.
I'm going to have one more thing play out here, actually, before we wrap up. So, yes, you share your alcohol with dinner. It's a lovely dinner. Your rations seem to taste especially good after all the horrible smells and sensations you've experienced that day. And you all, in an unspoken mutual agreement, decide to try and sleep as early as you can. Lily, you head to your dorm and start to fall asleep, waking up every so often to fight off these haunting kind of nightmares of being hunted. You have this distinct sensation of being hunted that breaks into a nightmare every so often, and you wake up. On the third time, as you start to fall asleep, you enter this state that you've entered sometimes before, where you feel like you're starting to commune a bit with Athena. And it's not as strong a communion of like speaking to her, but definitely getting sensations. The nightmare starts as the previous two this night have, this sensation of being hunted, that slowly fades as you feel yourself enter some form of sanctuary. And you get the sense of Athena being pleased with you for the information that you have gathered, although the power that you invoked to gather that information and the attention that you invoked from Athena will need to be repaid somehow. And you have the sense that you will, in order to maintain a positive connection with Athena, need to promote the spread of knowledge of and worship of Athena at some point soon to maintain a happy, healthy relationship. And you have this thought as you're in this kind of sensation of sanctuary in your dream/nightmare. And then it departs, and you half expect the feeling of being hunted to come back, but it doesn't, and you get a restful night of sleep.
Cool.
This episode of Pace was produced from the donations of the Duff Media community. For more, go to duffmedia.com. Thanks everybody for donating to make this show possible. Also thanks to our players, of course, Elliot, Kippos and Linus. And of course, Pace is based on the Otherverse setting created by Wildbow. Support him at patreon.com/Wildbow.